Hi Blender fans and welcome to Blender TC. Let's just delete the cube as normal, as we always do. So select the cube, press the X key and then delete. Add in a mesh, and the mesh we're going to add in is a plane, and I'm just going to scale this up by 1.5 I think in the X direction, which is along the red line, and I'm just going to move this up by selecting this and putting that to 2 meters. In fact, make it 5 meters I think. So I'm just putting that up in the air. I'm just going to go to the camera. I'll select the camera, zero in this out, and I think I'll change this. In fact, I'll change the Z to 7 I think, or something like that. Yep, come on, let's change it to 7. Yep, we've got this camera. I'm just going to now add in a mesh. Is it empty plane axes, and what we're going to do is get the camera to actually point at our, by going object constraints, track 2, and we'll go to, so our camera is now looking at our plane. Pressing 0 obviously makes you look through your camera, just to let you know. Right, so select the plane, and I'm just going to add in a texture into this, and it's going to be an image texture. So new, hit the little yellow dots along the base color, and what we've got image texture, and what we can do is open it by hitting this little folder icon, and it's not in, yeah, it's not in cool, no, it's not in there, it's in Blender Work, and I think it's yeah, there we are, Blender Basics and Logos. Hit the little squares here just to make things appear, and I'm just going to actually find the actual image that I want to use for this tutorial. Subscribe to Blender TC, logo. I've got quite a few different copies of this, so let's just select one. There we are. So if we actually go on render select, what you can see, you've got our logo on the plane. I'm just going to rotate along the X by 180, and it's upside down. Right, yeah. I don't know if it's the camera upside down or I've actually done the plane upside down, but one of them was upside down. So I'm just going to rotate in the Z by 180, and there we go. We've got this now in the right format. Up's up and down is down. Go on the world tab. I'm just going to change this to black and add in a simple light, and the light I'm going to add in is a sun. And what I'm going to do is have this point towards the plane, so the sun's underneath, and I'm just going to change it so its direction is just it's an offset angle like that. There we go. I'll just offset it slightly. There we go. Right, what we're going to do is actually go to our plane, and I'm just going to set some things up. So I've just gone on the render, ambient occlusion, bloom, screen space reflections. The reason I'm doing this is for the render later on, but let's set our scene. Right then. So what I'm now going to do is add in a mesh, and the mesh I'm going to add in is a cone. The reason we're doing the cone is what we're going to do is use the cone to actually break up the image to actually make a logo or effect, whatever you want to call it. But so we've got the cone is above the camera. This stops things actually hitting the camera, and we're just going to hide the cone for a second. Let's just select the plane and go into the physics properties, and what we're going to do is change the physics properties and go on rigid body, make it active, Then you just press the space bar, and as you can see, the plane with the logo just falls out of the sky. I can't select the cube, I can't select the cone because it's still invisible, so I'm just made it visible again. I'm going to make this into a passive item like that. Rigid body, active and passive. So what happened there is the actual logo came down and it hits the cone and it stops because it's perfectly balanced on top of the cone. So hide the cone again, and here's where we're going to actually do the special breaking up of the plane to actually make the effect. So subdivide, go down into the little box down here, and I'm just going to change this to 20. So I've subdivided that by 20. I'm going in and out of edit mode by pressing the tab key. So tab key, mesh, and what we're going to do is split these up. So make sure you've got everything selected, mesh and split, faces by edges, and then what we'll do is press the P key and just do it by loose parts. This has now split these all up. So if we drop that, as you can see, when it hits the cone, it breaks into pieces. Now I think the cone's in the wrong place, so what we'll do is make that visible in a bit. But what we're going to do is actually we're going to select all these items here. Unfortunately the sun's getting selected, so I'm just going to alter something. If we actually go up on the filters up top, I'll just show you, there's some filters, this little funnel thing, and what you can do is hit the arrow, and this allows you to actually make things selectable or not selectable. So I'm just going to go down to the sun and make it so it's not selectable by hitting the little arrow. Right, clear this off again, make everything reappear. This means I can just actually select these at the top. Object, set origins, and origin to geometry. So it's now put the center point of every piece of that plane that we split up in there. So let's just actually make the cone reappear. And as you see, as it hits the cone, it smashes through them. The cone's a bit low though, so I'm just going to raise this to about there and make the cone invisible again. And this is where you just fiddle around with things until they look right. Yep. And this is trial and error, so you might have to move the cone quite a few times to actually make this work. Everything, just check everything's actually set up correctly. Yeah, I think everything's about there. Just going to go and change the picture. I'm going to make it a bit more metallic so it's shiny and it reflects light, and make the roughness disappear. Yeah, just adjust it slightly. So let's actually look at that again, and as you can see, because we've got bloom enabled, we get some flashes, which is just what I want for this effect. Going to gravity, I'm just going to make the gravity half gravity by making it -5, which will slow this animation down slightly, which will look a lot better when we actually render this. There we go. Let's just have a look at this again. Just make my cone reappear. I'm just going to adjust this up slightly. I'm just going to scale it up and scale it in the Z direction, just to actually make it a fat cone, just because it looks different when it actually is this. This doesn't have to be a cone, it can be any shape, it's entirely up to you. Right, so I think that looks about right. So all we need to do now is actually render this out. So go to the actual thing that looks like a printer, select the place you want to actually put it on your computer. I'm just going to put mine in Cool Effects. I'm just going to rename it I'll just call it render 1 or something like that. Put a dot because it's going to actually put the frames afterwards. So accept. And don't forget to save your file. Cool Effect 3. I'm just going to save it as. Save as. The reason we save it as this is because, unfortunately, when you're actually using particles and things like this, and physics, I'm just going to change this to FFmpeg, things tend to go wrong when you actually render the things out. So I'm just saving that again, and render animation. There we go, and it starts to draw it, and of course it crashes straight down. But luckily we saved it, so let's just reload that and start again. So, and there we have it. Right, so we actually render this all out again, take our time, and voila, we've made ourselves a really cool animation. If you enjoyed my tutorial, please subscribe to Blender TC and join me next time when we'll make something else. But as yet I don't know what it is. Any ideas? Please leave a comment below.